Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Pastor Robert Thibodeau. Welcome to video number 11. And today we're going to talk with your on-the-air training program. Today we're going to talk about quality over content. The quality of your podcast is what's going to draw listenership. That's what's going to make people click subscribe. If you just read from a textbook, you're going to read from a college textbook, and the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then that's not going to get anyone's attention. I mean, it might help an algebra student somewhere down the line, but you're not going to get 1 million subscribers. That is a fact. You have to have quality in your podcasts and your radio programs. Quality over quantity. We've talked in the last couple of videos about length is better and shorter is even, length is important and shorter is even better. Now we need to focus on what goes inside that 15-minute period or that 28-minute period or whatever length your podcast you've decided to set it as. Keep it flowing consistently. Don't have a lot of breaks where, you're sitting there like, let's see, what am I... Okay, hold on a second. And you're reading your notes and say, well, we already talked about that. Should I talk about blah, blah? No, don't do that. Do that before you even start the podcast. If you need to practice, without recording, go through your podcast. If you are doing the interviews, have a list of questions. Now, with my interviews, when I do them, I ask the interviewee to send me 3 to 5 talking points that they want to cover during the interview. And then I will go on their website. I have their talking points. I go on the website and first I see what their website's about. And does it come up with a theme like it covers the 3 to 5 talking points? Or is this maybe something new? They're launching a new aspect of their business. I do research just on the website. I'll go to the About Me page and read their bio and their background and what they're trying to build with their organization. Then I'll go through some of the pages and look at new programs and look at some of how the old programs went. I'll go when they list their podcasts that they're being interviewed on. I've been interviewed on XYZ. I'll click on it and listen to it and see what questions were asked there. And I'll have my own list of 3 to 5 talking points. Now I have 10 questions that I am prepared to ask whoever it is I'm interviewing. And invariably, during the interview, we'll go down rabbit trails, and then, all of a sudden the rabbit trail will end. And you can tell when it ends because the conversation starts to slow down. And that's when it's time to ask, well, how does that relate to ba-da-da-ba-da? The next talking point, or you may skip several talking points because the subject matter comes down to a question you had, maybe question 7 or 8, and you're ready, you're prepared. So as soon as that conversation starts slowing down, you are prepared to pick it back up again and have them continue the conversation. It's a normal flow, but you are the one responsible for it, not the interviewee. You're not just going to have someone on the interview and say, okay, tell us about whatever it is you want to talk about. And then silence and let them carry on. Now, they can do their own program to do that. They don't need you to do that. Your job is to ask questions that excite your audience. Give them quality information. Not just, let's review War and Peace today on the podcast. And I'm going to interview, the expert on War and Peace, and he's going to tell us all about the book. If people want to know that much about the book, they can buy the book. What you need to do is get some, little tidbit secrets that wasn't brought out in the book, but the author had experienced and different things like that. That's your job. When you do interviews, it's not just for you. You are doing an interview for the interviewee. It has to be about them. And it has to be able to give your listening audience some vital information about whatever it is the subject matter is going to be when you do your interview. Now, you may not be doing interviews. You may be doing, an example would be the podcast, What You Missed in History Class. Okay. They take historical people, historical events, and things like that, and they do the research on it. They just don't talk about, well, the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th. No, it wasn't. It was signed on July 2nd. July 4 was the final ratification of it. But, they'll go into the background behind it, the squabbles, that were taking place behind the scenes that isn't really brought out in class. That's their niche. They do it well. They just don't come on and say, well, I think today, what do you think? Should we talk about July 4th? Yeah, let's talk about 4th of July. Oh, they already have that planned. They may not be a script. If they're reading from a script, they're doing very well because there's constant interaction going. They have their talking points that they are going to make, and they do it well. Go listen to it, What You Missed in History Class. But my point is, you need to have the outline. You need to make sure it's going to flow. You have to have the background on the subject, all before you click that record button. Like I said, you have to do your background because your listeners would rather listen to a 12-minute podcast than a 15-minute podcast that rambles on. They would rather have a 12-minute podcast that continuously flows, keeps them interested in listening. I mean, that's the hard part, keeping them interested. All right? So when you do this, your listenership will go up. When you do this, your subscribers will go up, and your number of downloads will also increase. That's all the time we have for today. This is Pastor Robert Thibodeau reminding you first, let me just remind you to go to the iTunes store and look up our podcast. Leave us a good rating, comments, anything like that. And if you have any questions, send them to me because it's very important. This training program is geared around you, not me. Till next time, it's Pastor Robert Thibodeau reminding you to be blessed in all that you do.